Hey everybody, wanted to weigh in again on a contemporary issue I see flaring up. It's been smoldering and flaring kind of since the middle of the summer in 2024. That is the appendix draw in USPSA 10516 ruling on what is a safe direction for your muzzle when you draw. For those not keeping track, that is essentially if you use a rig like this, a concealment appendix rig, and you start from a start position that is essentially not squared up to the range, you essentially have to make sure that the plane of your front sight is forward of the 180 before this thing starts to come out of your holster. Right, wrong, or otherwise, that is currently how it is mitigated. Now, a couple things I want to contribute to this conversation. One, just life in general, the first side to call somebody names usually loses. All right, so a lot of people on this side of the world are calling people on that side of the world fuds. All right, that's not productive. All right, well, it's fun on Instagram. It's just not productive. At the end of the day, we all like action shooting. We have more in common than we have different, and we're already a very small group. So could we maybe not kill each other? That would be great. But inside any small group, there's going to be factions, all right? Now, in terms of ROs, being one, all right, there are, in my opinion, as a competitor and as a range officer, two camps. There are ties goes to the runner people. I put myself in that camp. I come from the three-gun community. Generally speaking, in the outlaw three-gun community, tie goes to the runner. Benefit of a doubt goes to the shooter. All right? So if I'm put in a situation where some judgment is involved, there is not much in USPSA, but there are narrow parameters where you as a human are making a judgment call. I will err on the side of the shooter, them getting the best score that they shot and staying in the match. There are other people. Let's call them tie goes to the match people, all right? They are more than likely not to give you the perf break. They are more than likely to DQ you instead of giving you a benefit of a doubt. These are the people that some folks are taking issue with. And I don't disagree with some folks, some of the opinions floating around about that stuff. But in this instance, all right, going at those folks is not productive, all right? As someone who has affected some change in the sport of USPSA, in the organization of USPSA, going about it that way doesn't get anything done. It's fun on Instagram for 10 minutes. It doesn't get anything done. All right. And especially knowing these specific personalities involved that would need to be on board to affect that change, that's not how you're going to get it done. They're not the kind of people you can just bully. All right. The more you call them names, the more they're gonna meet that force with force. All right. So that is not the way. All right. If you don't like the way that this was ruled, you have to present a more compelling argument or a more compelling solution that someone would say, wow, you know what? That makes sense. All right. So you need to come at it from that point of view. Also, wanted to point out that as a competitor, it's on you to put yourself in a situation to stay in the match. All right. We actually, in the Minnesota section, had a scandal like this where people were getting DQ'd off the draw from a start position, but they were essentially electing to start facing on the 180, or they were put in a position where that was something they were inclined to do. People would draw on the 180, and there was a certain way they would do it, and they would get DQ'd. As a competitor trying to stay in the match, I would first concede that is bad stage design. However, as a competitor, you didn't design the stage. This was what was presented. Stage designer put you in this high danger for DQ situation. as a smart competitor, I would take a step to make sure that it was obvious I was in compliance with the rule. All right. So as a competitor, it doesn't matter where your muzzle is. It's where your muzzle looks like it is. All right. So as a competitor, you are trying to keep your muzzle or your gun oriented in a way that it is very obvious which direction it is pointed. If you put yourself in a situation where there is some subjectivity, you are subject to whoever is making that call. Now, the big controversy, the initial controversy around all of this was at Carry Optics Nationals this past year, 2024. Hi, remember me? I'm the guy that won the Constantine Carry Cash, all right, at that match, shooting from concealed, where that all happened. Now, while that instance went down, I think that guy got kind of a raw deal and was set up for failure. I think he also had some ownership in that. I also was put in situations like that. I'm a left-handed shooter, all right? So on a different stage, that particular stage wasn't a problem for me because I'm left-handed, all right? It wasn't controversial. There were other stages where it was. Example, I believe it was stage 4. I don't remember these kinds of things very well. I believe it was stage 4. It was certainly the stage that Russell Fortney was the CRO of. Russell Fortney is one of the board members, so a lot of people will probably remember that one if you are numerically challenged like I am, all right? So I'm at the stage, Russell is the CRO, and I'm put in a position where the stage is progressing from left to right. I forget exactly how it played out, but it basically put me in a situation where if I just did the thing that all the right-handed people would do from appendix, in my head I'm like, oh, that would probably get a 180 call. All right. So I knew that this was a risky start position. I knew who was making the call. I've had exchanges. That makes it sound like I argued with him. I have had encounters with Russell before as a range master at a different range at a different match. I called for range master on something. He came and he showed me what kind of range master he is. I don't particularly agree with the way he made that call. I doubt he remembers it. All right. But in my head, I was like, okay, I know Russell is a tie goes to the match guy. All right. It's the only reason I even tell that story. All right. I know Russell is a tie goes to the match guy. I know I am in a position where I am at risk of breaking the 180 if I just do what everyone else is doing. So as a competitor, I decided for myself and made a point when I rolled from the start position into where I was going to draw and shoot the first target. I needed to exaggerated turn, square my shoulders, and draw. All right. So I kind of had the Dukes of Hazzard in there, and I made it obvious that I was turning before I drew, specifically to avoid what happened to that other individual who I'm sorry, I don't know their name. But when you're faced with a situation like that, playing the victim card isn't going to keep you in the match. You, as a smart person, need to use some situational awareness, all right? People shooting from conceal, they're big on situational awareness, right? As you should be. Here is a microcosm of the real world, all right? You know, you are held to a higher standard as a concealed carry permit person using a firearm for self-defense. You are held to a higher standard than everybody else. Same thing in the sport. If you elect to use an appendix carry holster to participate in USPSA, currently you are held to a little bit different standard than everybody else. So you need to be careful and you need to set yourself up for success and make decisions to where you don't leave other people's subjectivity and their opinion on the issue in a position that they can affect your match. At the end of the day, range officials are really making calls based on how you conduct the match. So a call like that, I just saw one on Instagram. All right, dude was at the rear fault line. It looked like he started canted with his heels to the side here. Basically drew and shot at an angle on a hard left target. All right. In that particular, well, he's right-handed, I'm sorry. So he drew and shot like this, all right? Got called for a 180 break. if you're in that situation and the dude cited the rule chapter and verse, that's actually that's how I knew the rule. All right. I've listened to what he said. 10.516. All right. If you know it's 10.516 and you're ready to argue with a range officer right on the line there, you know that you're in a risky situation. He could have easily, not knowing the written stage briefing, from the way the video looks, he could have just decided to start squared up to the range, drew and turned, and avoided that whole situation. He would have been in the match, and no one would have ever seen that video, unless he wanted to be in that situation, and he wanted to argue with that RO. Maybe they have history. I don't know. But as a competitor, as a smart competitor, as a smart concealed carry permit holder, you need to put yourself in a smart situation so that you don't get into trouble. All right? If you go dumb places with dumb people who do dumb things, you're going to get in trouble. All right? If you set yourself up in risky situations in a match where a tie goes to the match, RO could call you on a DQ. Guess what? It's only a matter of time before you get DQ'd. So, do I think that this needs to be addressed in some way? Yes, I do. Do I think that both parties were in the right? No, I don't. Do I think, that gentleman at Carry Optics National, do I think he got a raw deal? Yes, I do. But everybody has ownership in it, all right? Because currently, if you want to draw from appendix in USPSA, this is the environment that you're in. And until it changes, you have to conduct yourself accordingly. So, if you have opinions on appendix carry in USPSA and you want to get it changed, leave it in the comments below because, algorithm and stuff. But more importantly, get a hold of your board member, all right? Your area director, let them know what you think about this and go at them with something more cogent than I think that's BS, all right? Bring a logical and objective idea on how we could do this better. In my opinion, it's a stage design thing. I don't think we should be positioning shooters in a position where their handedness should put them at risk of breaking the 180 off the draw. I think that should be illegal stage design. But that's just me. Ultimately, this has to go through the rules committee and the board of directors before anything is going to happen. So if you feel strongly about this, get involved, contact your representatives, engage in dialogue with them, which is a two-way street and not a lecture and a knife-handing session. And let's get this changed. But those are some things I see missing from the current debate, so I wanted to throw it out there. And that's all I have to say about that.